My name is Nadia, and I've always believed in hard work. Not the kind that gets you patted on the back just for showing up, but the relentless, tireless grind that leaves you with ink-stained fingers and a mind buzzing long after everyone else has gone home. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it because it's who I am. Or at least, who I thought I was before everything unraveled. I've been working at Crestwood Industries for 7 years now. 7 years of climbing ladders, navigating office politics, and proving myself over and over again. It wasn't easy being one of the few women in senior roles here, especially when most people still expected me to bring coffee instead of closing deals. But I did it anyway. Every meeting, every pitch, every late night, it all led to one goal: making partner. Crestwood isn't some flashy tech startup or a glamorous ad agency. It's an old-school corporate beast where tradition outweighs innovation. The walls are lined with mahogany panels that smell like history, and the air hums with whispered conversations about mergers and acquisitions. To outsiders, it might seem cold and sterile, but to me it felt alive, a place where ambition could thrive if you had the guts to fight for it. And fight I did. For 7 years, I poured my soul into this company. I sacrificed weekends, holidays, even relationships, all for the promise of something bigger, something worth fighting for. And then there was LARA. LARA didn't come from the same world as me. She walked into Crestwood 2 years ago, fresh-faced and full of ideas that sounded more like buzzwords than actual strategies. Her resume sparkled with prestigious internships and Ivy League degrees, but she lacked grit. At least, that's what I told myself whenever she breezed past me in the hallway, her heels clicking confidently against the marble floor. She smiled too much, laughed too loud, and seemed to have an uncanny ability to charm everyone around her, including our boss, Mr. Grayson. Mr. Grayson was a man who valued loyalty above all else. He liked order, predictability, and people who followed his rules without question. That's why I thought I had the edge. I'd been by his side through thick and thin, executing his vision while Lara flitted between departments, leaving trails of half-finished projects behind her. Sure, she had charisma, but charisma doesn't close multi-million-dollar deals. Hard work does, or so I believed. The day everything changed started like any other. I arrived early as usual, clutching my thermos of black coffee and a folder filled with notes for the big presentation. Today was the day we'd find out who would be promoted to partner. 2 candidates remained, me and Lara. I tried not to let nerves get the better of me, focusing instead on rehearsing my pitch one last time. This was my moment, my chance to prove that dedication and perseverance mattered more than charm and connections. By mid-morning, the boardroom was packed. The partners sat at the head of the table, their expressions unreadable, while the rest of us took our seats along the sides. Lara entered last, looking effortlessly put together in a tailored navy suit. She flashed a quick smile in my direction, and for a split second, I wondered if she felt guilty about competing against me. Then again, guilt wasn't exactly Lara's style. Mr. Grayson called the meeting to order, his deep voice cutting through the murmurs. "We've reviewed both candidates thoroughly," he began, glancing down at the papers in front of him. "Each of you brings unique strengths to the table, and your contributions to Crestwood have been invaluable." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing louder than the next. This was it, the culmination of years of sacrifice and effort. "After careful consideration," he continued, "the decision has been made. Congratulations, Lara." The room erupted into applause, but I barely heard it. All I could focus on was the way those 3 syllables, her name, felt like a punch to the gut. My stomach churned, and my hands clenched into fists beneath the table. How could this happen? After everything I'd done, how could they choose her? Lara stood up gracefully, accepting handshakes and congratulations with that same radiant smile. Meanwhile, I sat frozen, staring at the polished surface of the conference table as if it held the answers to questions I couldn't yet articulate. Was it jealousy? Frustration? Betrayal? Maybe it was all of those things combined. Whatever it was, it burned inside me like wildfire. When the meeting finally ended, I retreated to my office, shutting the door firmly behind me. The space, once a sanctuary, now felt suffocating. Trophies and plaques lined the shelves, reminders of battles won. But today they mocked me. What good were accolades if they couldn't secure victory when it truly mattered? Hours passed in a haze. I don't remember eating lunch or responding to emails. All I knew was that I needed to leave. Not just the office, but Crestwood itself. If they didn't value what I brought to the table, then maybe I didn't belong there anymore. That evening, I drafted my resignation letter. Each word felt heavy, laden with emotion, but also liberating. For the first time in years, I wasn't writing to impress anyone. I was writing for myself. When I finished, I printed the document, folded it neatly, and slipped it into an envelope. Tomorrow morning, I decided I'd hand it directly to Mr. Grayson. As I left the building, the city lights blurred together in a kaleidoscope of colors. The streets buzzed with life, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. I clutched the envelope tightly, feeling its edges dig into my palm. Resignation wasn't part of the plan, not my plan anyway, but sometimes plans change. Sometimes you have to burn bridges to forge new paths. What I didn't know then, as I walked away from Crestwood Industries, was that this envelope would set off a chain reaction neither I nor anyone else could have anticipated. Hidden within its folds was more than just a farewell note. It contained the seeds of revenge, redemption, and secrets waiting to unravel. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of resolve that surprised even me. It wasn't just anger driving me anymore. It was something deeper, sharper, a need to take control of my life again. Crestwood had been my world for so long, but now it felt like a cage I needed to break free from. Still, as I got ready and slipped the envelope into my bag, I couldn't shake the feeling that this decision would ripple far beyond what I could foresee. When I arrived at the office, everything seemed eerily normal. The hum of printers, the clatter of keyboards, the polite nods exchanged in hallways, all of it felt surreal, like watching a movie where you know disaster is about to strike, but no one else does. I avoided eye contact with colleagues, keeping my head down as I made my way to Mr. Grayson's office. My heart thudded against my chest with every step, each beat reminding me how final this moment would be. His door was slightly ajar, and I hesitated before knocking. Through the gap, I caught sight of him sitting behind his massive desk, brow furrowed as he reviewed documents. His salt and pepper hair gleamed under the soft light of his desk lamp, and for a fleeting second, memories flooded back. Late nights spent strategizing, victories celebrated with firm handshakes, promises whispered over coffee. He'd always been stern but fair, or so I thought. Now those assurances felt hollow. "Come in," he called after I knocked, his voice steady and authoritative as ever. I pushed the door open and stepped inside, clutching the envelope tightly. "Mr. Grayson," I said, trying to keep my tone neutral despite the storm brewing inside me. "Do you have a moment?" He glanced up, surprise flickering across his face. "Of course, Nadia. Please sit." I sat down across from him, placing the envelope on his desk between us. For a brief moment, neither of us spoke. The silence stretched taut, heavy with unspoken words and unanswered questions. Finally, I broke it. "I wanted to give you this personally," I said, sliding the envelope toward him. "It's my resignation." His expression shifted instantly, from curiosity to shock, then something harder to read. Disappointment? Regret? Or maybe just irritation at having to deal with yet another disruption. Whatever it was, it stung more than I expected. "Nadia," he began, leaning forward, "this isn't necessary. I understand you're upset about yesterday's decision, but—" "No," I interrupted, surprising both of us with the sharpness in my voice. "This isn't about being upset. This is about realizing that I've given everything I can to this company, and it's clear that isn't enough. You chose LARA, and I respect your decision, I really do. But staying here wouldn't serve either of us." He studied me intently, his gaze searching mine for cracks, for signs of doubt. Finding none, he sighed and leaned back in his chair. "You've been an asset to Crestwood, Nadia. Losing you will be a blow to the team." "It shouldn't be," I replied evenly. "If I'm truly irreplaceable, then perhaps it's time to reconsider who deserves recognition around here." There was a pause, thick with tension. Then he nodded slowly, almost imperceptibly. "Very well. If this is what you want." "It is," I said firmly, standing up. "Thank you for everything, Mr. Grayson." As I turned to leave, I felt lighter somehow, as if shedding years of baggage with each step away from his office. But the relief was short-lived. On my way out, I passed LARA in the hallway. She was chatting animatedly with a group of junior analysts. her laugh ringing out like chimes in the otherwise quiet corridor. When she saw me, her smile faltered briefly, replaced by an unreadable look. "Hey, Nadia," she said, stepping aside from the group. "Can we talk?" For a moment, I considered brushing past her, pretending not to hear. But something stopped me. Curiosity, maybe, or the lingering hope that there was more to her than met the eye. Reluctantly, I nodded, and we moved to a quieter corner of the floor. "What happened yesterday?" she started, her usual confidence wavering. "I didn't expect things to go that way. Honestly, I thought you were a shoo-in." Her words caught me off guard. Was she lying? Trying to soften the blow? Or did she genuinely believe I'd win? "Save it, Lara," I said, though my voice lacked its earlier edge. "You got what you wanted. Congratulations." She flinched, just barely, but recovered quickly. "Look, I know we haven't always seen eye to eye, but I never wanted this to come between us. And I definitely don't want you to leave because of me." I stared at her, searching for any hint of insincerity. Her eyes met mine without wavering, and for the first time, I wondered if maybe she wasn't entirely the villain I'd painted her to be. Maybe she was just another player in a game neither of us fully understood. Before I could respond, a commotion erupted near the elevators. Voices rose in alarm, and a few people rushed past us toward the source of the disturbance. Curious, I followed, Lara trailing close behind. At the center of the chaos stood Marcus, one of the IT guys, holding a flash drive aloft like some kind of trophy. His face was pale, his hands trembling slightly. "What's going on?" someone asked. Marcus swallowed hard before speaking. "I found this in Mr. Grayson's computer. Someone hacked into the system last night. They deleted files, important ones. Financial records, client data, everything's gone." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. My stomach churned as the implications sank in. Whoever had done this hadn't just sabotaged Crestwood. They'd thrown the entire company into turmoil. And then it hit me. The envelope. My resignation letter. What if it wasn't just a piece of paper? What if it held clues, or worse, evidence? That tied me to whatever conspiracy was unfolding. Without thinking, I turned on my heel and bolted back toward Mr. Grayson's office. Lara called after me, but I didn't stop. Every instinct screamed at me to retrieve that envelope before anyone else could see it. Because deep down, I knew one thing for certain. Nothing about this day was going to end simply. I reached Mr. Grayson's office in record time, my pulse hammering in my ears. The door was still slightly ajar, just as I'd left it moments ago. Pushing it open, I scanned the desk frantically for the envelope. My resignation letter was gone. Panic surged through me. Had Mr. Grayson already opened it? Or worse, had someone else taken it? The thought sent ice coursing through my veins. What if this wasn't just about Crestwood's data breach? What if I was somehow tangled up in this mess? Before I could process further, Mr. Grayson appeared behind me, his expression grim. "Nadia!" he said sharply, closing the door behind him. "What's going on?" I don't know," I stammered, trying to steady my breathing. "I came back for the envelope, my resignation letter. It's not here." His eyes narrowed. "You think your resignation has something to do with what happened?" "No," I exclaimed, shaking my head. "Of course not. But I need to know who took it. This whole thing feels wrong, like it's bigger than just a hack." He studied me for a moment, then sighed heavily. "Listen, Nadia, whatever you're thinking, you need to tell me everything. Right now, trust is in short supply around here." The weight of his words hit me hard. Trust, that elusive currency that had driven so much of my career, and now perhaps it's unraveling. Taking a deep breath, I decided to come clean, not just about the envelope, but about everything I'd been feeling over the past few days. "Mr. Grayson," I began, my voice trembling. I handed in my resignation because I felt betrayed. Not just by the promotion decision, but by the system itself. I thought I'd earned my place here, and when Lara got chosen instead, it felt like all my efforts were meaningless. But this, I gestured toward the chaos outside, this isn't me. I didn't sabotage Crestwood. You have to believe me. For a long moment, he said nothing, his gaze fixed on mine. Then, unexpectedly, he nodded. "I believe you, Nadia. At least I want to. But right now, we need answers and fast. Someone inside this company is playing a dangerous game, and until we figure out who, Everyone's a suspect, including you." His words hung heavy in the air, and I felt the walls closing in. For the first time, I realized how precarious my position truly was. Without evidence to clear my name, suspicion would linger. And in a corporate world built on reputations, even the hint of scandal could destroy me. Meanwhile, Lara had been piecing things together on her own. She'd always prided herself on being observant, and today was no exception. As she watched Nadia flee toward Mr. Grayson's office, something clicked. The envelope, the resignation, the timing of the hack, it all seemed too coincidental. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Lara made her way to Marcus, the IT guy holding the flash drive. "Marcus," she said, approaching him cautiously, "can you trace where the hack originated?" He hesitated, glancing around nervously. "It's tricky. Whoever did this covered their tracks well, but there's something odd about the files they deleted. Some of them weren't financial records at all. They were personal emails from Mr. Grayson's account." Lara's blood ran cold. Personal emails? Why would anyone target those unless they contain damaging information? And why now, right after the promotion announcement? She thanked Marcus and quickly retreated to a quiet corner, her mind racing. If these emails held secrets, they could implicate anyone, including herself. After all, she'd only joined Crestwood 2 years ago, and while she'd worked hard to prove herself, she wasn't blind to the whispers about her rapid rise. Was this an attempt to discredit her before she even started her new role? As she mulled over the possibilities, another thought struck her. What if Nadia wasn't the enemy here? What if they were both pawns in someone else's game? Back in Mr. Grayson's office, Nadia had convinced him to let her review the security logs alongside Marcus. Though she wasn't an IT expert, she knew the inner workings of Crestwood better than almost anyone. Together, they traced the source of the breach to an internal IP address, one belonging to none other than Jeffrey Caldwell, the CFO. Jeffrey had always been a shadowy figure within the company, known for his ruthless efficiency and cutthroat tactics. He'd clashed with both Nadia and Lara in the past, dismissing their ideas and undermining their efforts whenever possible. Could he have orchestrated the hack to destabilize the company and frame someone else in the process? Armed with this revelation, Nadia and Lara found themselves face to face once again. This time, however, the tension between them dissolved into reluctant solidarity. "We can't go to Mr. Grayson without proof," Lara said quietly. "If we accuse Jeffrey and we're wrong, it'll look like we're trying to deflect blame." Nadia nodded, her jaw set with determination. "Then we find the proof ourselves." Over the next 48 hours, the two women worked tirelessly, combing through encrypted files and cross-referencing timestamps. Their unlikely alliance grew stronger with each breakthrough, united by a shared desire to uncover the truth. Along the way, they discovered that Jeffrey had been embezzling funds from Crestwood for years, using falsified invoices to funnel money into offshore accounts. The deleted emails contained evidence of his crimes, and his plan to pin the blame on either Nadia or Lara to cover his tracks. When they finally presented their findings to Mr. Grayson, the room fell silent. Jeffrey, called in for questioning, crumbled under the weight of the evidence, confessing to the entire scheme. His arrest sent shockwaves through Crestwood, leaving everyone reeling. In the aftermath, Nadia chose to leave the company, not out of bitterness, but because she realized she deserved more than a toxic environment that rewarded greed over integrity. Lara stayed on, determined to rebuild Crestwood from within, but she never forgot the lessons she'd learned during those chaotic days. As for the envelope, it turned up weeks later, tucked away in Jeffrey's desk drawer along with other incriminating documents. Inside was Nadia's resignation letter and a scribbled note from Jeffrey himself. Insurance. Though their paths diverged, Nadia and Lara remained connected by the bond forged in adversity. Both emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. Not as rivals, but as survivors.